What's up, guys? I'm back. I know it's been like a month. It's not really intentional. I wasn't really trying to take that much of a break. I know that every time I say that I'm going to be back and start doing things more full swing, I wind up doing stuff like this where I get the flu. So I got the flu and I felt terrible for like 2.5 weeks. So that wasn't fun. Plus, my day job was making me pretty much work 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. So that also didn't help on top of the flu. Gotta love it. Anyway, I'm back. I figured we'd try out a new video format, new style. I got a new camera. Hopefully things look better. And there will be new backgrounds in one video, but that'll be a little bit later down the road. Other than that, though, yeah, we're going to be putting some more content out there. Might as well, But all of that aside, we're going to be taking a look at the high grade 144th Char'S Zaku 2 from the original Universal Century high grade line. The HGUC line started in the early 2000s as a means of remaking some of the old, ancient high grades from the 80s and 90s and putting a more modern twist on them. This was one of the first. I believe this one's only numbered like 15. Give me 1 sec, I have the box right here beside me. Yes, it's only number 32 in the line. I think we're up to some ludicrous like well over 200 at this point. So yeah, that's saying a lot. If you're interested in getting this model after this review is over, there are 2 places you can get the model for relatively cheap. I got this one at USA Gundam Store and they had a sale going on. You can also pick this model up at Hobby Lobby last time I checked. I could be wrong though. So if it is, I'll post it down in the corner if you can still find it there or not. Here's their rotating supply of high grades. But first off, color accuracy on this kit is absolutely perfect. I know it looks a little orange on the video, but in real life, it's more of that salmony pink mixed with a bit of brown, which is what these skirting pieces are, and it looks great. It looks exactly how Char'S Zaku 2 is supposed to look. Now, it being an older kit, it's got some issues, but we'll address that when we get to them. All right, he stands about a little over 5¼ inches tall, meaning it puts him just at pretty much standard high grade level. It's about what you expect for a model from this time period and with this level of difficulty. I mean, he's a super simple kit. I literally spent maybe 2 hours assembling the model. And what I mean by that is literally I spent a night sitting in my living room on my couch building him. There's a little bit of smuts there. He took me about 2 hours to complete. There's about 4 runners in the box. Nothing complicated. The only foil seal you really have is that. So that's pretty good. Articulation's also really good. So you've got everything is pretty much ball jointed as you would expect a high grade from this time period to be. The shoulder pads are attached separately, so meaning you can get this just out of the way and get the arm completely up. Looks a little silly when you do that, but I mean, how else are you gonna do it? It just attaches with this little joint right here. A little tiny poly cap. I'm not sure how well it's gonna hold up over time. And that's really the only complaint I have with this model is that every joint on here is a poly cap, except for these. So that's kind of rough. The shield here is attached with a poly cap inside of the shield piece, attached to a ball joint. The head's on a ball joint. You don't get a lot of range. It'll mostly do that, mostly pop off. You don't get the spinning disc inside the head like you do on more modern models. You just don't have the slot for it. And of course, there's no point in having a ball joint when all you can get really is side to side. There's no up or down movement. You have a swivel at both biceps. It's an extremely tight swivel too, surprisingly. Elbow joint gets about 90 degrees. This detail on the side looks great. It's on a ball joint here, but again, you're not going to really get a ton of movement out of it. Which, I mean, let's face it, high grades from this time period, you're not really buying for incredible range of articulation. You're buying them because they look pretty good. You have a butterfly joint that's just a series of polycaps stacked on each other, so a little careful when you do that. You have no waist articulation at all. The waist is one solid brick. These skirts are, of course, connected, but they're kind of connected badly with this little part that is right in here. So what you pretty much have is friction holding the skirt on, and it severely limits the leg articulation to really only about there before you start popping the torso off. So yeah, you can get about 90 degrees. It's not awful, but it's not perfect either. Not much back because of the rigid back piece. And then the onto the side movement, none. Literally none. But that's also because you have, I can probably just show you. Well, I can't. It won't come off for me. But you literally have a ball joint that connects into a little socket here. So you don't have much. It's not much in the way of leg articulation. Knee, you got a double jointed knee, but you're only going to get about that much because of the hoses. It doesn't look bad though. I've seen some modern high grades look far worse than this. So that's pretty bad. Ankle articulation goes down really far up, surprisingly. I don't know why it needs to go that far up. Yeah, disjoint the Zaku, basically. I mean, it looked like he broke his ankles. That is one option. Yeah, he got into a skiing accident. That's what this is. Yeah, Zaku with a ski accident. Yeah, you could just have like a weird alternate mode for him. But it's not too bad though. All in all, for a model kit that retails for about 15 bucks, you're gonna get your money's worth. I mean, he's not badly articulated. He's articulated enough, let's put it that way, for what he is. He's not crazy articulated, but he's also not really expected to be. I mean, he's a $15 model kit released in the age of $20 to $40 high grades, so he's pretty good. You get an extra fist hand, you get an extra trigger hand, and you just do these like usual. These have that old style attachment point, so instead of attaching the back of the hand, the whole hand just splits in half. You stick your weapon in there, and then you just close it up. For other accessories, he has the beam bazooka, which is just fine. It's a piece of kind of bluish gray plastic, so it looks good. It's got a little handle that pivots out of the way. It's got the viewfinder that flips up, so yeah, I mean, it looks good. It looks like how it should. A tube, basically. And then you've got the Heat Hawk with its holster. The holster doesn't work the best. That's one of my only gripes, really, is that this doesn't really hold anything, so that kind of sucks. There's like a really weird orientation you have to do to get it in there, and just it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's insane. It does nothing. So, but yeah, you'd have to paint this part. You have to paint this part. This is all right. It doesn't really fit in his hand too well at all, to be honest. I mean, you put it in there, just kind of loosely fits in there, kind of rattles around. So even if you put it in the fat part, it's not going to hold well. So unless you want to put it like right there, it's going to look weird. It's going to look kind of awkward unless you fill the hand out with something like, you do it, and you kind of squeeze the hand there. But then you risk breaking the joints because you can see it's starting to stress this. So not much you can really do with the Heat Hawk, really, sadly, but I mean, at least you've got one. No beam accessories because he just doesn't come with any. He's an old high grade, so I mean, I don't expect him to come with any. But there is something I do want to do since we have him. Yeah, next to the Revive version of the RX-78, he looks great. Two look good next to each other. I would say the Zaku's a little short compared to him, but again, that's also because this model is pretty old at this point, and I honestly, yeah, I was early in my hobbying time when I did this, but this is not a bad model. This still holds up pretty good. This is the Revive RX 78 V2. It's not a bad model, but I mean, if I could go back and build it a second time, I would. I honestly probably will. Let me get him back in that kind of dynamic pose I had him in. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna look good next to a standard mobile suit from this time period. Now, I wonder how he would look next to maybe some of his other comrades. If I had a regular Zaku, I would show you, but I'm more of a late UC guy. So, only thing I can compare him with would be something like the Bardsum or the Goof from 8th MS Team, or, you know, the Victory Gundam. Maybe a Leo, but I'm sure you guys don't want to see that. I mean, no point in mixing parts of the franchise. But if you can get your hands on this model kit for pretty cheap, I'd recommend it. It's not bad. It's not going to really hurt anything. It's especially good if you have a version of the RX-78 that's relatively up to date. You can make a good looking shelf with these two side by side. That's probably honestly exactly what's going to happen, is he's going to spend the rest of his eternity on a shelf kicking him. Because, you know, got to do the iconic Char kick. But other than that, yeah, pretty good model, especially for the amount of money you pay. Yeah, he's going to be pretty good. Hopefully, this helped you guys a little bit, helps you decide your hobby purchases and what you want to spend your money on a little better, hopefully. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Yeah, I'm back again, by the way. Here's the pose I'm talking about. This is just loosely thrown together. This is not a course that's going to be done, but this works oddly well. So again, I'll see you all in the next one.